I have to ask you about The Office, if you don't mind.
Of course.
How did it come about with you and Ricky Gervais creating The Office? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, we worked together at a radio station. He was my boss, essentially. And
was he like David Brent?
Not at all, because well, he was even lazier than David Brent. He did very little work. I'm fairly sure the only reason I got hired by him was because my resume was on the top of the pile.
Okay.
And he couldn't be bothered to work through the others. He goes, this guy will be fine. He calls me in, and we hit it off, and we would, just joke and riff about observations of office life. I realized Ricky was going to get me fired, so I jumped ship, joined the BBC. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to make a little training video, and I called Ricky and I said, let's do the office stuff we did. And we made this little tape, and it just came alive. Ricky's performance was electric. The observations felt fresh and kind of authentic, and it just began to snowball from there. Although the BBC did a test screening of the first episode of The Office, the British version, and it scored the lowest audience score ever. The only thing that was lower was women's lawn bowls. Which is sort of like, like kind of like bocce or something. And so that was the only thing that was considered more boring than The Office. But, they stuck with it anyway, and here we are.
What a juggernaut it has turned into. So did you or Ricky Gervais ever have a boss that basically wanted to be popular rather than actually efficient and a leader? Like, did you ever have somebody like that you worked for?
I mean, we had both worked in completely different places, and we'd worked with similar kind of guys. And even when we were working at the BBC, people would say, no one's like this, and you'd walk around the BBC like, here's one right here. I mean, they're everywhere, really. I don't care what job you're doing. I don't care if you're working, for NASA or, you're in the mob. I think there's these same kind of people everywhere.
And just the way you shot it, it's now so many different shows have sampled.
Man, I wish I could get a cut of all those copycats.
Of all those shows where they just zoom in on a mock documentary of
someone just looks in the lens.
Where did you pick that one up from? Were you inspired?
We shot it documentary style because it seemed like just the quickest way to shoot. We didn't have to do lots of clever lighting. We could kind of move fast.
Right.
And at the time in England, there was a real spate of these kind of fly on the wall documentaries where regular people were becoming celebrities off the back of these shows. There was one about a driving school. There was one about a cruise ship. So it was kind of in the air, and so I think we kind of wanted to satirize that and play with that idea. But like you say, everyone does it now.
It's like de rigueur to do something like that right now.
Yeah.
Is there ever what's your favorite Office moment that hit the cutting room floor that you could not put on the air for some reason, or never made it on the air?
Well, I remember we used to cut things out because we were trying to keep a tone that felt authentic and real, and anything that kind of veered too much, felt too silly or too crazy. But like Ricky does in the British version, does this dance, which became a kind of iconic moment. And I had to persuade him to let me include that because he was like, it seems too crazy, no one's going to buy it. So that almost hit the cutting room floor, and I had to fight him to keep it in.
Well done, Stephen Merchant. Well done. Who's your favorite character from the American version?
Wow, I don't know. I mean, I had to say, what was exciting about going to see those guys at work is it was like we'd created a show in England, and then like amazing talent had kind of just taken it and were running with the ball. And I mean, you could go down there and see Steve Carell. That guy can improvise stuff funnier than you can ever write. It was kind of so exciting to watch him at work. I love that show largely because it pays for my house.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you don't want to choose one?
I can't choose a particular individual, because I'll just upset the others.
You will. It's amazing how popular it has become.
It's great. And it's very popular with like younger teenagers who I guess haven't even worked in an office.
Well, because, we all know people who are just basically putting on a whole bunch of BS and skating through into a position of power over people who know this is a con. I mean, we all have been in situations like that.
But also, it makes no difference. It's like you put these shows on the air, you highlight these kind of people. And I mean, I remember I'd be walking with Ricky Gervais and people would come up to me and be like, hey, you know that boss you play? I'm just like that guy. And they'd say it like a badge of honor. You're like, that's not a good thing.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.